President Helen Carter stood at the window of the Oval Office, looking out at the peaceful morning sky above Washington, D.C. It was hard to believe that somewhere among those stars, 10 of Earth's brightest young minds were being held prisoner by aliens who thought humanity should bow to their will. The message from the Galactic Council had arrived 3 days ago, transmitted directly to every major government on Earth. The terms were clear: surrender human independence and get the students back, or refuse and watch them die while Earth was cut off from the rest of the galaxy forever. Admiral Patricia Stone entered the office carrying a thick folder of documents. As head of the newly formed Terran Defense Command, she had been working around the clock since the alien ultimatum arrived. "Madam President," the Admiral said, "I have the final reports from all our military advisors and allied nations." President Carter turned from the window. "What's the consensus, Patricia?" "Every military leader on Earth agrees that we cannot match the Galactic Council's technology or numbers in a conventional fight. They have weapons that can destroy planets and ships that move faster than anything we've ever imagined." Admiral Stone paused. "But that doesn't mean we're helpless." The President gestured for the Admiral to sit down. Over the past few days, these two women had become the closest thing Earth had to war leaders, though neither had ever imagined facing an enemy from the stars. "Tell me about Project Defiance," President Carter said. Admiral Stone opened her folder and pulled out several photographs of spacecraft under construction in hidden facilities around the solar system. "We've been reverse engineering alien technology from the artifacts we've recovered over the years. The Roswell incident, the Phoenix Lights, dozens of other encounters that the public never heard about. We've learned enough to build ships that can fight back." The President studied the images. The spacecraft looked nothing like the sleek shuttles that NASA used for routine missions. These were weapons of war bristling with armor and cannons designed for one purpose: to hurt anyone who threatened Earth. "How many ships do we have?" she asked. 43 combat vessels are ready now, with more being completed every day. It's not many compared to what the Council can field, but our ships have advantages they won't expect. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, Director of Human Xenological Affairs, entered carrying her own set of reports. "Madam President, I have information about the Galactic Council that changes everything." Dr. Hayes had been studying every scrap of intelligence about their alien captors that Earth's spy networks could gather. What she had discovered painted a picture of an empire built on fear and oppression. "The Council isn't just demanding our surrender," she said, settling into a chair. "They do this to every species they encounter. Any race that shows independence or potential is crushed before they can become a threat." Admiral Stone leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "I mean that in the past 1,000 years, the Galactic Council has destroyed or enslaved 47 different civilizations. They let some species survive as long as they remain primitive and obedient, but anyone who reaches for the stars gets hammered down." President Carter felt a chill run down her spine. So this was always going to happen? Even if our students had never gone to that planet? Eventually, yes. We were becoming too advanced, too curious. The Council would have found an excuse sooner or later. Dr. Hayes pulled out a tablet showing star charts. "But here's what's interesting. In all those 1,000 years, no species has ever fought back successfully. Because they were all conquered before they could organize resistance?" Admiral Stone asked. "No," Dr. Hayes said with a grim smile, "because none of them were human." Over the next hour, the three women reviewed everything Earth knew about the enemy they faced. The Council ruled through a combination of superior technology and psychological warfare. They made examples of those who resisted, spreading fear throughout the galaxy so that other species would surrender without fighting. But humans had something that apparently no other species possessed in quite the same way: the absolute refusal to abandon their own people, regardless of the cost. "What about the other alien species?" President Carter asked. "Surely some of them must be unhappy with Council rule." Dr. Hayes nodded. "Our intelligence suggests there are resistance movements on dozens of worlds. The problem is that they've never been coordinated, and they lack the military strength to challenge Council forces directly. That could change if someone else started the fight," Admiral Stone said thoughtfully. President Carter walked back to the window, looking up at the sky where her captured citizens waited for rescue or death. The weight of the decision she had to make pressed down on her shoulders like a mountain. "Madam President," Admiral Stone said quietly, "there's something else you need to know. We've been monitoring communications from the Galactic Council. They're not just holding our students prisoner. They're torturing them, trying to break their spirits and make them beg Earth to surrender. The president's hands clenched into fists. Show me. The admiral activated a holographic display that showed grainy images intercepted from council broadcasts. Jake Martinez and his fellow students looked thin and tired, but their eyes still held defiance. Even under alien guard, facing an uncertain fate, they had not broken. They're trying to make us afraid, Dr. Hayes said. They want us to imagine what's happening to our children so that we'll give in to save them. President Carter watched the images for a long moment, then turned back to her advisors. How long would it take to get our fleet to the Council's capital world? 3 weeks if we push our engines to maximum, Admiral Stone replied. But Madam President, the odds of success are extremely low. We'd be attacking the most heavily defended location in the galaxy with a handful of experimental ships. What are the odds of success if we surrender? Dr. Hayes and Admiral Stone exchanged glances. Finally, the Admiral spoke. 0, Madam President. If we surrender now, humanity will never be allowed to reach for the stars again. We'll be slaves in everything but name, and our children will grow up in a universe where Earth is just another conquered world. The President walked to her desk and sat down. For several minutes, the three women sat in silence, each thinking about the impossible choice they faced. Finally, President Carter picked up a pen and pulled out a sheet of official paper. I'm ordering the immediate mobilization of all Earth Defense Forces, she said as she began writing. Admiral Stone, you have full authority to engage the Galactic Council with whatever force is necessary to secure the release of our citizens. Madam President, Dr. Hayes said carefully, this means war, not just with the Council, but potentially with hundreds of alien species. Earth could be destroyed. President Carter looked up from her writing. Dr. Hayes, 47 civilizations have surrendered to the Council, and what happened to them? They disappeared into history, forgotten and enslaved. At least if we fight, we'll be remembered. She finished writing and signed the document with firm strokes. Besides, I don't think we're as outmatched as the Council believes. They've never faced a species that fights for more than just survival. They've never faced humans who fight for the idea that no one should bow to tyrants, no matter how powerful. Admiral Stone stood and saluted. I'll begin deployment immediately. But Madam President, what should I tell the fleet commanders? What's our strategy against impossible odds? President Carter stood as well, and for the first time in days she smiled. Tell them we're going to do something that's never been done before. We're going to make the Galactic Council afraid of us. Within hours, hidden bases across the solar system were humming with activity. Spacecraft that had existed only in secret files were being fueled and armed. Crews of volunteers, many of them veterans of Earth's military forces, reported for duty on ships they had never seen before, preparing to fight an enemy beyond their imagination. In the depths of space, long-range sensors detected the movement of Earth's fleet as it began its journey toward the Council's seat of power. The massive armada of human ships was pitifully small compared to what waited for them, but size wasn't everything, and the Galactic Council was about to learn what happened when they threatened the children of a species that had never learned how to surrender. Captain Jake Foster gripped the command chair of the TDF Retribution. As the first human warship ever built for interstellar combat, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically at consoles displaying information no human had ever seen before. Contact, sir, called Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell from the sensor station. Galactic Council ships. Looks like a staging area for their assault on Earth. Foster studied the tactical display showing dozens of alien vessels arranged in perfect formation around a massive space station. The Council forces had expected to use Alpha Centauri as a forward base, counting on human surrender before any real fighting began. They had guessed wrong. All ships, this is Commander Foster, he spoke into his communication system. Execute Plan Delta. Hit fast, hit hard, and get out before they know what happened. The Retribution led a squadron of 12 human ships in a lightning attack on the Council staging area. Human weapons, designed using reverse-engineered alien technology combined with Earth's own innovations, tore into the enemy formation with devastating effect. The Council ships were powerful but slow to react. They had been built for overwhelming force against helpless opponents, not for the kind of hit-and-run warfare that humans excelled at. Within minutes, 3 alien vessels were destroyed and the space station was crippled. Enemy reinforcements incoming, Lieutenant Mitchell reported. Looks like they're mobilizing everything in the system. Time to go, Foster ordered. All ships jump to predetermined coordinates. We'll regroup and hit them somewhere else. The human fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind smoking wreckage and very confused council commanders, who couldn't understand how a handful of primitive ships had caused so much damage so quickly. Back on Nexus Prime, the 10 human students felt the vibration of explosions through the walls of their prison. Jake Martinez looked up from where he had been trying to comfort Lisa Brooks, who was running a fever from the poor conditions in their cell. "Did you hear that?" he asked the others. Alex Turner pressed his ear against the wall. "Sounds like weapons fire. Big weapons." Ryan Cooper managed a weak smile despite their circumstances. Maybe Earth didn't surrender after all. Their alien guards seemed nervous, talking in rapid, harsh tones in their own language. Katie Walsh, who had been paying attention to their captors' behavior, noticed that they kept looking toward the ceiling as if expecting something terrible to fall from the sky. "Something's got them scared," she whispered to the others. "I've never seen them act like this before." In another part of the massive prison complex, beings from dozens of other worlds were asking the same questions. The Galactic Council had ruled through fear for so long that many species had forgotten what resistance looked like. But the sound of battle was unmistakable, and hope began to stir in hearts that had been crushed by centuries of oppression. Maria Santos was using her geological knowledge to study the prison's construction, looking for weaknesses they might exploit if an opportunity arose. "These walls weren't built to withstand attacks from inside," she told the others. "If we can find the right pressure points, we might be able to break out." Ben Carter had been listening carefully to their guards' conversations, picking up fragments of their language. "I think I understand some of what they're saying," he said quietly. "Something about impossible and primitive humans, and how did they find us so quickly?" Chloe Adams was working with Danny Kim to keep track of time and try to figure out what was happening based on the reactions of their captors. "The explosion started about 6 hours ago," she said, "and they're getting closer." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human ships were striking council targets with a precision that baffled alien military commanders. Earth's fleet was small, but it was being used with a tactical brilliance that no one expected from a primitive species. Commander Patricia Stone, now aboard the flagship TDS Vengeance, coordinated the attacks from a mobile command center that stayed constantly on the move. Human ships would appear from hyperspace, destroy their targets, and vanish before council reinforcements could arrive. "Target destroyed, Admiral," reported Captain David Chen from the TDS Defiance. "Council supply depot at Rigel is completely eliminated." "Excellent work, David. Proceed to your next objective." Stone turned to her tactical officer. "What's our status on the diversionary attacks?" "All successful so far, Admiral. We've hit 17 Council facilities across 8 star systems. Their forces are scattered, trying to protect everything at once instead of concentrating on defending their capital." Stone nodded with satisfaction. The human strategy was working exactly as planned. While the Council scrambled to protect their scattered empire, Earth's main force was moving steadily toward Nexus Prime and the rescue of the captured students. But the Council was beginning to adapt. Ancient as they were, they had not maintained power for millennia without learning how to fight. Emergency sessions were being held in the great chambers where the human students had been tried, and new orders were going out to Council fleets throughout the galaxy. "These humans fight like no species we have encountered," admitted Council Speaker Thyron, the crystal being who had condemned the students to death. "They strike our weakest points and vanish before we can respond." The golden-furred judge, whose name was Keth Morin, was studying tactical displays showing human ship movements. "They are using our size against us. We have so many worlds to protect that we cannot concentrate our forces effectively." The shape-shifting judge, called Zenthara, rippled with colors that indicated deep concern. "Perhaps we underestimated this species. Should we consider negotiating with them?" "Never." Thyron's crystal form flashed with angry light. "No primitive species has ever defied the Council and survived. We will make an example of these humans that will be remembered for 1,000 years." But even as the Council leaders spoke of making examples, their military commanders were reporting losses that shocked the ancient rulers. Human tactics were proving devastatingly effective against Council forces that had grown soft from centuries of fighting only desperate, unorganized resistance. On the prison world of Sigma Draconis, where the human students had been scheduled to spend the rest of their lives. Alien prisoners were staging uprisings inspired by news of human defiance. Species that had accepted council rule for generations were suddenly remembering what freedom tasted like. The Altarian rebels, blue-skinned humanoids whose homeworld had been conquered 3 centuries ago, launched coordinated attacks against council installations throughout their system. The Aquatic Cetacean Alliance, who had maintained an uneasy peace with the council through trade agreements, declared those agreements void and began providing intelligence to human forces. Admiral, reported Commander Lisa Park from the Intelligence Division, were receiving offers of assistance from resistance groups on 43 worlds. Species that have been under council control for centuries want to join our fight. Admiral Stone felt a moment of amazement at what humanity had accomplished. In less than a month, Earth had gone from an unknown primitive world to the leader of a galaxy-wide rebellion against tyranny. "Accept all offers," she ordered, "but make it clear that we're not asking anyone else to die for our people. We're going to rescue our students ourselves." The final phase of the human assault was about to begin. While council forces were scattered across the galaxy, chasing human raiders and dealing with rebellions on dozens of worlds, Earth's main battle fleet was approaching Nexus Prime. In their cell, the 10 human students felt the prison shudder as massive explosions rocked the planet's surface. Emergency lights flickered and the sound of running footsteps echoed through the corridors as alien guards rushed to defensive positions. Jake Martinez stood up and helped Lisa Brooks to her feet. Despite everything they had endured, despite facing death in an alien prison far from home, all 10 students were smiling. "Sounds like the cavalry's here," Ryan Cooper said. Through the walls of their prison, they could hear the sound of human voices shouting orders and the distinctive whine of Earth weapons firing. Their rescuers had come, traveling across impossible distances and fighting through overwhelming odds. Because that's what humans did for their own. The Galactic Council had made one critical error in their calculations. They had assumed that humans would react like every other species they had conquered, weighing the costs and choosing survival over principle. They had never encountered a species that would travel to the far side of the galaxy and fight the entire universe if necessary to bring their children home. The final battle was about to begin, and the outcome would determine whether humanity would kneel before the Council's throne or tear that throne down and build something better from its ruins. "For too long," Jake interrupted. "But that ends today." The chamber filled with beings from dozens of worlds, all of them former subjects of the Council, who had found their courage through humanity's example. The 3 ancient judges who had never faced defiance in their long lives found themselves surrounded by the very people they had oppressed. The war ended not with the destruction of Nexus Prime, but with the collapse of the Council's authority. Faced with Jake Morrison stood in the giant crystal room where the Galaxy Council met. His heart was beating fast as he watched the voting display. 47 alien species were deciding if humans could join their peaceful alliance. The numbers kept changing on the big screen above his head. 46 votes against humans. 1 vote that said nothing. 0 votes for humans. Jake felt his hands shake behind his back. He had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. He had learned alien languages, studied their cultures, and brought gifts from Earth. None of it mattered now. "The species called humans," said Counselor Zethka, a giant snake-like creature that wrapped around a tall pillar, "are too dangerous for our peaceful alliance. They fight too much and cannot be trusted." Lisa Grant, Jake's helper, wrote notes on her tablet. Her face showed no emotion, but Jake knew she was angry too. They had both worked so hard to make this day perfect. A creature that looked like a walking tree spoke next. "Humans have primitive weapons, but they make everything into a weapon. They split atoms to make bombs. They bend space and time for war. They are a threat to all peaceful species." The crystalline alien that sounded like ringing bells added, "Humans grow too fast. In just a few hundred years, they spread across their whole star system. If we let them continue, they will take resources from other species who deserve them more." Jake finally got permission to speak. "Honored counselors, humans only want friendship and trade. We brought gifts of art, music, and science to share with you." "Science of war," Zethka interrupted. "Your gifts include information about poison gas, nuclear bombs, and something you call total destruction. These are not gifts from a peaceful species." Jake tried to argue more, but the Council had made their decision. Earth would stay locked in their own solar system forever. Any human ship found outside their area would be destroyed immediately. No warnings, no second chances. The meeting was over. Jake and his team walked back to their ship, the Defiance. Captain Roy Henderson was waiting for them at the door. His uniform was clean and his medals shined, but his face looked worried. "How did it go, Ambassador?" Roy asked. Jake's voice was cold and hard. "They made their choice, Captain. Now we will make ours." The news traveled fast through space. Every human ship received the message about what happened at the council. Admiral Kate Sullivan was on her battleship New Horizon when she heard. She closed her fist tight and felt anger burn in her chest. Commander Ben Torres stopped exploring the outer planets and turned his ship toward home. Dr. Amy Phillips was working on secret projects at the Titan Research Station. When she got the news, she smiled in a way that was not happy. She told her team to work faster on all their projects. Back on Earth, President Janet Miller called an emergency meeting. Military leaders, scientists, and politicians gathered in the White House Situation Room. The room was quiet except for the sound of people breathing. "They think we are too dangerous," Miller said. "Maybe they are right." General Carl Murphy leaned forward. "What are your orders, Madam President?" Miller looked at each person in the room. "We tried to join them peacefully. They said no. They threatened to destroy any human who leaves our solar system. I think it's time we showed them what dangerous really means." The room filled with quiet agreement. Everyone knew what this meant. Earth was going to war with the entire galaxy. Dr. Phillips spoke from her video link on Titan. "The projects we have been working on can be ready in 3 years, maybe less if we push hard." "What projects?" asked Senator Paul Davis. Phillips smiled that scary smile again. "Projects that will make the aliens wish they had said yes to our friendship." Admiral Sullivan's voice came through the speakers from her ship. "The fleet can be ready in 18 months. We have been building new ships just in case something like this happened." General Murphy nodded. "Ground forces are already training with new equipment. We have been preparing for this possibility since first contact." Jake Morrison, who had just returned to Earth, joined the meeting. "I spent 3 years learning about every species in that council. I know their weaknesses. I know their fears. Most importantly, I know they think we are stupid and primitive. Are we going to prove them wrong?" Miller asked. "No," Jake said. "We are going to prove them right. We are dangerous. We are aggressive. We are everything they said we were. But we are also much more than they can imagine." The meeting lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Earth had a new mission. They were not going to ask for permission anymore. They were not going to beg for acceptance. They were going to take their place in the galaxy whether the aliens liked it or not. Orders went out to every human settlement. Mars Colony began producing new weapons. The asteroid mines started building things that looked like rocks but were really weapons. Every human in space got the same message: come home. Get ready. The galaxy wants a war. Captain Henderson sent a message to all human ships. "The Council voted against us. They think we are too dangerous to exist. Let's show them they were right." Dr. Phillips worked day and night on her secret projects. The Prometheus engine could move ships faster than anything aliens had ever seen. New weapons could cut through alien armor like paper. Stealth technology could make human ships invisible. 3 months after the vote, alien spies reported something strange. Earth had gone quiet. No more messages asking for trade. No more ships trying to leave their solar system. No more attempts to contact the Council. The aliens thought this was good news. They thought humans had accepted their place and would stay in their corner of space forever. They were wrong. In secret bases on Mars, Luna, and the asteroid belt, humans worked on plans that would change everything. They studied every alien species. They learned about alien technology. They prepared for a war that the galaxy did not see coming. The Council had voted to keep humans locked away because they were too dangerous. Soon, the galaxy would learn what real danger looked like. The countdown had begun. 3 years had passed since the Galaxy Council said no to Earth. The solar system looked the same from outside, but everything had changed. What the aliens thought was humanity's biggest weakness had become their greatest strength. Dr. Amy Phillips stood in a huge underground factory beneath the moon's surface. Giant machines built parts for something the aliens had never seen before. The Prometheus engine did not just bend space like alien ships. It folded space completely, letting ships travel anywhere in seconds. "The good thing about being locked up," she told General Carl Murphy, "is that nobody watches what we do at home. Above them, Earth's space factories worked all day and all night. The Titan-class ships were bigger and deadlier than anything in the galaxy. They looked sleek and fast, but they could destroy entire fleets. Human engineers had taken alien technology from diplomatic visits and made it better. Captain Roy Henderson, now called Commodore Henderson, watched workers build the new flagship called Retribution. His chief engineer, Grace Wong, had made the ship 3 times more powerful while keeping it invisible to alien sensors. "The Council thinks we are primitive," Wong said while adjusting the ship's new plasma weapons. "Wait until they see what primitive humans can do when we are angry." On Mars, Admiral Kate Sullivan trained the first Solar Defense Corps soldiers. These were not regular soldiers. They were humanity's best fighters with powered armor, smart targeting systems, and weapons that could cut through alien armor like it was made of paper. Commander Ben Torres had the most important job of all. For 2 years, his secret teams had been visiting alien worlds. They learned alien weaknesses, mapped their defenses, and found the best targets to hit. "The tree aliens use root networks to talk to each other," he reported in a secret meeting. "Cut the main routes and their whole fleet becomes deaf and blind." Colonel Nick Hayes, Earth's new war planning minister, studied holographic maps of alien space. "What about the crystal aliens?" "Their crystal bodies make them almost impossible to destroy," Torres replied. "But they break apart if you hit them with the right sound waves. Dr. Phillips's team made sonic weapons that can shatter them completely." While Earth's war machine grew stronger, messages reached friendly aliens in the galaxy. Not every species had voted against humanity because they were afraid. Some had been forced to vote no. Others had been threatened. A few, like the dolphin-like Delphine Collective and the energy beings called Lumina, had voted against humans because they thought it would protect Earth from becoming a target. They were wrong. Captain Linda Shaw flew a stealth ship called Shadow and spied on alien military bases. "They are not taking any chances," she sent back to Earth. 47 species are building a huge fleet together. Intelligence says they plan to solve the human problem permanently." The message was clear. The aliens were planning genocide. They wanted to kill every human in the galaxy. Earth was preparing to stop them. In the asteroid belt, Commander Grace Wong's engineering teams had worked for 3 years on a secret project. They took the biggest asteroids and turned them into moving weapons platforms. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a city, but they looked like normal space rocks. "Camouflage is an art form," Wong explained to her team. "The aliens will see asteroids. We will see hidden fortresses." Dr. Phillips made another breakthrough with defensive technology. Her new energy shields did not just stop enemy attacks. They absorbed the energy and made the shields stronger. The more aliens shot at human defenses, the harder they became to destroy. On Europa, scientists led by Dr. Kevin Stone worked on biological weapons designed specifically for different alien species. Each weapon was made to target one type of alien without hurting humans or other species. "If they want to play extinction games," Stone said, "we will show them how Earth species really play." The intelligence reports kept coming in. Commander Torres's spies were everywhere now, and they all said the same thing. A massive alien fleet was gathering at the edge of Council space. 600 ships from 47 different species. Their mission was secret, but intercepted communications made their purpose clear. The human question must be permanently resolved. Their aggressive nature makes coexistence impossible. Total elimination is the only solution that guarantees galactic peace. President Janet Miller read the reports in her secured office. "They really mean to kill us all." General Murphy nodded. "Every man, woman, and child. They want to wipe humanity from existence. Then we will show them what extinction really looks like," Miller said. The final preparations began. Admiral Sullivan's battle fleets moved into position throughout the solar system. Dr. Phillips activated the Prometheus engines on all major human ships. The asteroid weapons platforms powered up their hidden weapons. Stealth ships like Shadow took positions along likely invasion routes. Captain Henderson stood on the bridge of Retribution and looked at his crew. Humans and a few loyal aliens who had secretly joined humanity's cause worked together at every station. "Remember," Henderson told them, "they voted to exterminate us. They are coming here to commit genocide. Show them what happens when you threaten the human race." Lieutenant Sandra Price sat in the digital warfare center of the ship Prometheus. She was Earth's best computer hacker, and her job was to take control of alien communication systems during battle. "I have been studying alien quantum networks for 2 years," she reported. "I can turn their own communications into weapons against them." The alien fleet was 3 days away from Sol system. Long-range sensors showed 600 ships moving in perfect formation. They expected to find a primitive, scared human civilization begging for mercy. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Dr. Phillips made final checks on all systems. "Defensive grid is at maximum power. Offensive systems are ready. Stealth fleet is in position." Admiral Sullivan looked at the tactical display from her command ship Sovereign. "All units report ready for combat." President Miller gave the final authorization from her bunker deep beneath Washington. "You have permission to defend Earth by any means necessary. Show them what they have unleashed." The countdown began. In 62 hours, the alien fleet would arrive in Sol system expecting to find helpless humans. Instead, they would find humanity's true nature revealed. The galaxy had voted to destroy Earth because humans were too dangerous. They were about to learn they were absolutely right.